So the story for me starting mountain biking is kind of like worked out so well for me. I don't really know where to start it because um, when I was 13 years old, I started riding a lot of masses of dirt shows out in Europe,
At
which was
13.
an insane opportunity. Yeah, at 13, that was like a crazy world to be thrown into. That world of everyone sending their gnarliest tricks every night, then hardcore partying. I was getting snuck into these European clubs and stuff at such a young age. I was like, I think I like back then I couldn't believe what was happening. So the reason I'm talking about that though is because in those shows there were like some absolutely legendary slope style riders. Guys like Martin Soderstrom, guys like Yannick Grenieri, Sam Reynolds, of course. Who am I forgetting right now? Andreu Lakondagi was like heavy on at that time. It was like a heavy, very skilled group of slopestyle riders, and my riding in BMX was, I started out in the skate parks, of course, but then it was transitioning very much into dirt jumping because of masses of dirt. I was riding these big jumps. I was like very motivated by learning big tricks and doing big tricks. So I feel like my riding in BMX graduated like it escalated more towards like a big dirt jump rider versus like a park rider. Um, and then slopestyle at the time, um, obviously I was watching all those guys compete, the guys that I was riding these shows with, and slopestyle seemed unbelievable, and it just seemed very kind of interesting to try to transfer the skills over because some of the skills seem pretty similar, at least trick wise. Um, and I had Highland Mountain Bike Park pretty close to me, which had a full on slope course, full like gold event course. So Martin Soderstrom was super helpful to me. He hit up Specialized team manager Jeff Rogers at the time. They got me hooked up with a P3 hardtail bike, and then I just started trying to learn all my BMX tricks on it. And trick wise, it went fine, but then the features like the new flat drops, new cannon logs, new step downs, all that new these new features which I had never seen or heard of, like that was a very hard learning experience um, to get the tricks going, not only on the bigger bike but on those like bigger features and these like bad conditions competing, windy and all that stuff. Um, but I feel like the first competitions for me in slopestyle went really well. But you're saying I was well received, bro? They hated the no visor.
Well,
Everyone hated
no,
it.
you as a person were well received. I don't know if I received the no visor very well either. It was super odd at the beginning, and hey, it's in my notes. You got to ask me about the no visor. Like I'm telling people you're coming on. What's with the no visor? I was like, well, part of me is like you don't seem to give a shit what people think about you in a good way, and that's like your style, your pads, maybe that ice hockey background with big pads and all the shit. But what was the no visor? Is that to help with vision and spotting certain tricks?
So there's a lot of reasons for the no visor actually. Um, but the main one is that like my legends, my inspirations when I grew up younger was like Dave Mira and Jamie Bestwick. Like Dave Mira was obviously the GOAT. All those video parts I remember watching like Miracle Boy and Nyquist. That video was like very inspirational for me as a young kid. And like Mira had no visor, and then I would do a lot of riding at Woodward Camp. My father and I spent a lot of time every summer at Woodward Camp, and Jamie Bestwick was there, winning every X Games, winning every Dew Tour, just like a god up there on the vert ramp. And he also had no visor. And then I would go in the skate park. I had a full face on because I was a few times smacking my face off the wood and off the concrete, and finally was convinced to put the full face on. But when I would try things in the foam pit, like if I was trying gnarly tricks in the foam pit and then smashing the head down, like the visor breaks off anyway. So I was like, my visor breaks off anyway. The legends of the sport are not wearing one. Like I'm not wearing one. And that's just how it became for me for years, just riding, no visor, full send, inspired by these visorless guys. So when I came into slopestyle, I didn't think it was going to be an issue because like if those legends don't wear a visor, then how can anyone talk any shit about visors, you know? Like so so yeah, and I feel like what you said also about like the spotting, I came in doing like a lot of rotational tricks, you know, and the visor would get in the way, especially with front flips. I was doing a lot of front flips and like my I would just like you just go head first into the front wheel, then the visor moves or breaks off. So, dude, there's a big list of reasons why the no visor thing has been my thing, but I've just stuck with it, bro. So
But that
yeah.
that is so funny because like the negative is like people feel you look like a kook, but literally
Sure.
Dave Mirra, Jamie Bestwick, like I never even was like, wow, they look like kooks. Like I didn't think, but in the mountain bike, we try to be so cool, you know, like come from like we brought some of the motocross stuff over and like in downhill, hope you did, you know, let's get rid of the lycra, let's make sure like
Yeah.
sign a petition, let's keep the peak on. And it's just to try be cool for the brand, right? But you literally named so. I mean, if I was crashing and ripping peaks off, I'd probably just be like, I don't have 20 spare peaks per weekend. Like, what's the
Yeah.
point? So what were the guys saying? Like they're probably like just I guess like friendly banter about the visor, or just like, dude, you need to put a visor on. You're making us all look bad. Like, what was the chat amongst the guys?
I mean, amongst the guys, it wasn't like directly. I feel like it wasn't like targeted bullying at the visor or anything like that. I mean, overall, the style from head to toe was like outrageously bad. Like I was wearing big hockey pads. I still wear a lot of padding now, but the that was different level back then. It was like some big hockey shin pads, big like pants, like huge chesties. I don't know. I was just absolutely padded up, and then to add on top of it, um, just this no visor helmet. So I was just getting by the guy. The guys were just like flaming me for the style, you know, like because I clearly just did not care about the style. I didn't understand um anything about looking cool on the bike, and also like the riding was so trick focused. So I don't know, having that banter about the style, about the visor, about the riding, all of that obviously has helped in improvements a little bit over the years in that sense. But yeah, I feel like it was like just those healthy bands of like, bro, can't be looking
Did
like
it
this out
feel
here on course.
did it fuel any of your fire a little bit? Like if you could win a comp or stomp a trick and be like, yeah, dude, well, take your no visor there. Like I just smoked. Like did any of it make you want to beat them more when they give you a bit of shit?
No, I feel like I was always so thankful for the opportunities to ride these big competitions, you know, because especially coming into the mountain bike world, it was like I'd barely graduated high school. I didn't really know where my life was going. I felt like I was kind of changing sports. So I was like, I don't know what's going to happen here. So I feel like with the the slopestyle competitions that like increased in level and then increased in significance and then eventually coming to stuff like district ride and joyride, like I was kind of less fueled up um by like anger of people and everyone talking some smack. I was more like, holy shit, this is an incredible opportunity to be here. Like I'm here and I got to try to put on a show. Like I don't know if I got what it takes, but I'm gonna like put what I have out there on the line. So I feel like people kind of respected that aspect, that I was always kind of putting it out there on the line, whether it was a maybe not complete riding. It was still like just trying to put my best show that I could possibly put on out there, crash or not.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think you'll always be known for that. Like go big or go home and always putting on a show from the beginning. So what stage did you maybe feel that you could make a career of it? Like, do you ever look back at that, or do you remember a time when you're like, shit, I can probably make a career of this?
I remember the first time I was at Joyride in Whistler, and I got an invite to ride Best Trick. And I did decently in the Best Trick. I got on the podium. I landed a big lawn dart front flip. I bunch of attempts at a cash roll, barely rode out of one in the end. But then like the next day was the actual slope comp. Um, and I just remember being so incredibly inspired there. Um, on that day, like watching that comp, like seeing what was possible. I was just riding yesterday in this Best Trick, but like this would be like unbelievable to ride in. And then the next year is when I'm saying I got um, some invites to ride in like Crankworks, Les des Alpes, um, and I forget what other like big comps those were. But I feel like then in those moments I was like, oh shit, like I can make it here and then go to Joyride from here because of this. And then I'm on the whole tour and I'm basically out here fighting for a world championship. So I feel like in those moments it was I don't know I can't identify like one moment, you know, because I was just like I said, I was so thankful and so inspired for these opportunities that I was kind of like, let's just keep this rolling, let's keep this moving, let's see what we can do. Um, and then eventually like wins started coming and that was really crazy. So yeah, man.